Hello and welcome to today's Advent drink along video. I'm Luke. Today we're drinking a beer from Hallertau. It's the Boric Tangelo Witbier, which for me is the taste of summer, really. If you have had one of our Advent calendars before, you have likely had this beer before. So I took a risk including it this time round. It was very much done on purpose, rather than just an accident that I forgot, although that is totally something I would do. Because I wanted to chat about the idea of drinking the same beer twice, and also about seasonality, and about these sort of products that do change from batch to batch, especially when you are using local agricultural products like Tangelos. So yeah, I look forward to seeing the feedback in our Facebook group and online as to whether people are furious that I've sent them a beer that they have tried in the past, or as to whether people are happy that we are giving them an opportunity to try something again and to revisit something. I feel like in craft beer in New Zealand, we are swinging a little bit back from a place where there were just endless releases from breweries, and people were obsessed with Untapped and ticking off new beers and having conversations with people about how they would never drink the same beer twice, and it was all about checking them off the same way as people enjoy things like train spotting or collecting Pokemons. And I feel like more people now are talking about beers that they do revisit, and core range beers that are made really well. And of course, that's the thing that we sometimes talk about, that with brewers, beers that are in their core range are absolutely perfected and tweaked and honed over time. Like a few days ago when we talked to Hamish about his Peak Haze and the iterations that beer has gone through over the years. So yeah, as I say, look forward to hearing what you think. So this is a beer, it was previously in the premium Advent calendar, but it was not this beer because it was the previous batch of beer. So this is not a core range Hallertau beer, it's a summer release. And it's made with Boric orchards, the neighbouring orchards. So Hallertau are out west of Auckland, Kumeu, and they are surrounded by fruit orchards. So just at their doorstep, they've got access to all these fantastic ingredients that they can use and utilise in their beers. And they clearly have a great relationship with the Boric family. And the Tangelo, if you haven't had one, or if you have and you don't really know what it is, it's a cross between a sort of the small, sweeter fruits in the orange family, like mandarins. So I think it's pretty much a cross between a mandarin and a grapefruit. So it's a really delicious fruit, and it's really nice to have them in season in late winter, and they're in season the perfect time to put into beers to drink for the summer. And yeah, it's got the sort of the flavour and the sweetness of those lovely juicy mandarins, but also the acidity, the tartness, the sort of verging on sourness of grapefruit. And of course, grapefruit works so beautifully in IPAs and working alongside hops. So yeah, I feel like this really balances things nicely in this style, which is a wit. And this is the first time I've tried this year's batch. And of course, another thing about drinking the same beer a year later is that memory is flawed. How can you remember what something tasted like that you drank a year ago or longer? And then on top of that, every time we taste and experience something, we are different. It depends on, things like your mood and the weather and your health, but also your environment and what you've eaten recently and how your palate is and whether you've got a cold. So yeah, that old saying that you can never walk in the same river twice is kind of true, especially when it is a seasonal beer. This is not the sort of product like something like a Steinlager that is, I guess, like a Big Mac. That it is, the whole point is it's identical batch after batch after batch. Every time you have a Big Mac anywhere in the world, it's going to taste the same. This is, it's about terroir, it's about place, and yeah, even just when things are picked in the harvest, it changes. That's the lovely thing about beer from small craft makers. So Tangelo's being a great choice. Wit beers are it's a very old beer style that almost became extinct. So if you drank any kind of wit as part of Beer Jerk, you probably heard me tell the story about Pierre Calais. But wit beers go back to medieval days, so sort of around the 1400s. It seems like the origins of wit beers, which of course would have tasted quite different to the ones that we're drinking today. And it was always a beer with wheat and some oats. Of course, back then yeast hadn't been isolated, so the beers would have been fermented with whatever yeasts were floating around in the air, so wild fermented and more sour. And also, it's definitely not a modern thing, the idea of interesting adjuncts in beer, because it's only in the last 100, 200 years that hops have become the predominant thing. And the Germans or the Bavarians, with their marketing around the Reinheitsgebot and the purity laws, have clearly done a very, very good job at making people believe that beer is only made with 4 ingredients. That has never been the case. Throughout all of history, to Mesopotamia, to Egypt, the origins of beer have always included things that you find in the bushes and hedgerows and berries and whatever tasty stuff is around. So those medieval wits would have had all sorts of interesting adjuncts, and then as the years went on, the spice trade, so trading with Europe through the the Habsburg Empire, through the Dutch East Indies, these routes into Indonesia, the Spice Islands, Micronesia. So these beers would have contained things like grains of paradise. You'd have had zests of oranges. There would have been, of course, coriander seed is a key part of wit beers that continues to this day. So all these wonderful exotic things weren't as necessarily as recent and exotic as you think. The world was very, very connected 500 years ago. As with many small regional beer styles, wit beer became completely extinct. So it's a Belgian style wit, and it's uniquely, almost thanks to one guy, that we get to drink wit, and there's an almost unbroken connection to history, which is Pierre Celis, who was a milkman from near the town of Hoogarden in Belgium, and he was just lamenting with his friends how delicious wits were after they died out in I think it's the 50s, maybe early 60s, that they used to drink in their youth, because everywhere had been taken over by delicious crisp pilsners. Things like Stella Artois from Belgium. And you got a homogeny and a uniformity in beer that these guys were a little bit sad about. So old Pierre, as a boy, had worked in one of these wit breweries. So he pretty much remembered how it was done. And he recreated as best he could remember those beers that he'd brewed decades before. And that was the origin, that became the Hoogarden Brewery, which of course became an absolutely behemoth multinational juggernaut everywhere in the world, and was eventually bought by, who would own Hoogarden these days? I think it is SAB, InBev, or one of those giants. So it's an interesting person to look up. Once that all happened and it all sold, he eventually moved to the USA and started up another wit brewery. So really lovely story, which is still going. I think it's called the Celis Brewery, Celis, and he's passed away now. And last I looked, it was being run by his daughter, which is really cool. So if any of you are traveling to the States, you should go and pay homage to old Pierre. This beer is a lovely example. You've got your really lovely esters. So wits are about the yeast profile as well, which can bring a lot to a beer. It's a great ingredient to work with wit, and it's just the Tangelo is really complementing it beautifully. As I said before, the sort of the bit of tartness, but mainly sweetness really I'm getting from this, and it works with the softness of the wheat, of the oats. It's a absolute summer smasher. And we haven't really talked about Hallertau, but I'm running out of time. You maybe know about Hallertau. It's one of the older craft breweries around Auckland. It is Stephen Haley Plowman that are out, as I say, in Riverhead, sort of Cumie, West Auckland, amongst the countryside and near some beautiful forests and lots of orchards. And yeah, that is a very, very busy brew pub that is just jam-packed with people and families celebrating, having good times. About 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, they opened a second Hallertau, which is sort of just to the southeast of Auckland. Clevedon, I think that one is maybe. I haven't been to that one, but I'm sure it's also great. I've never small brewery at the new one, but I'm not sure how much they brew there. And they are really into music. So they do a lot of cool collaborations with DJs, with artists. A few years ago, they did something that I really enjoyed, which is a collaboration with a local potter. And they had this series of really beautiful labels on their bottles that were photographs of these sculpted bottles and jars that had been made by this local artist, which was really interesting. And yeah, I quite like the minimalism of their seasonal labels. It just has this sort of like boldness and two-tone colour schemes. Anyway, hope you are enjoying this summery, delicious Advent beer as much as I am. I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.